brief DAD 2505 Journey Journal. So what is the problem? Inkscape has insufficient workspace to motivate and inspire their hardworking students. So what is the solution? To completely redesign the basement in order to create more working space. So what steps did I follow to get to the solution? Well, I first completed a pestle analysis and came to conclusions like no political effect would take place, but Inkscape rules will still need to apply in this room. This room encourages people to stay at campus for longer hours. This then will increase the use of electricity, which increases the cost Inkscape will need to run the campus. Better security will also need to be installed, because more valuable items will be kept at campus for a longer period of time. This room allows more students from different courses to interact with each other. Advancing the understanding of each course that is being offered at Inkscape, first years will gain more insights of the other courses, making it easier for them to choose their degrees. The space also gives students the ability to work in a creative room. So the first thing I had to do was look at the what if. During this phase, I looked at the design goal, which was creating a space with enough working space, as well as plugs, to solve the problem students were currently facing. I looked at the perception of students by interviewing them, the physical attributes to be solved by the solution, the functional attributes to be solved by the solution, as well as any constraints which cannot be resolved by the solution put forward. This includes the growth of students, the power outages which can affect working at campus, the amount of space there is available at campus, and whether students will make use of the space or not. Thereafter, I looked at what wows, which included space, inspiration, productivity boost, and collaboration. During the what works, I saw that redesigning the basement would allow more plugs, extra tables, and inspirational colors to inspire students. So what should I have done during this project? Well, I should have completed the following class exercise surrounding claims. In small groups, students should take 10 to 15 minutes to come up with a reasonable problem to be solved. What were the differences between what I did and what the brief asked? Well, I put a lot of focus into talking to people and finding out what they actually want. I also focused more on the actual design of the place rather than focusing on what actually works. Because I was focusing intensely on the students and creating not only more working space, but also a working space that inspires creativity, I did external research on what colors should be used in the room and what effect each color would have in the room. I did not focus on the economical aspect in what wows and what works phase at all, which I see now is actually a very big problem. Why these differences existed? I came to the conclusion that what the students needed was a lot more important than what my group's opinions was. After I came to this conclusion, I focused on what the people wanted, but never actually considered what would happen if the space was used differently. I've noticed in all my projects that I mainly focus on what is and what if, and constantly go back to these questions because as I progress with the project, I learn more about what these cases are and add to them. I agree with the different phases of Litke's model, I just don't agree with the entire setup. I usually do brainstorming throughout my phases because I want to rule out all the bad options before I even start. I am aware that this may not always be successful, but up until now this method has led to me being able to quickly analyze projects, such as this one, and quickly decide what I want to do. This project was the first mind shift I had in working according to the process. I attempted to work with my group and follow the steps, and I learned why all these steps are necessary and incorporated them into my own design thinking. But I can honestly say I do not follow these steps religiously and have not found it essential to do so yet. So what could have been done differently? Well, I should have spoken to the principal, Maurice, to find out exactly what the basement is currently being used for at the present moment, and whether or not this space could be used differently. I also should have done more research into what the cost would be to create this space. Student funding was the original idea to create this space, but this isn't really realistic, and if I had a more accurate budget, I could have looked at possible sponsors and whether or not Inkscape has a budget to upgrade its infrastructure. So my design journey. In the beginning of my second year, I had a first year mentality of focusing on what the brief says and try to do what everyone else is doing but better. This didn't work out as well as I wanted it to work this year. When we learned different design thinking methods, such as the scientific method and Litke's approach, I realized my way of problem solving was missing many different aspects which need to be considered when trying to solve something. I learned that you cannot always use your first idea, and you need to keep all of your ideas, good or bad, and only rule them out later, although I still don't always do this. I also learned that being myself is being different, and therefore tried to portray my personality and my own identity in my projects, instead of striving to be the best. I have also learned that I don't have to be afraid of mistakes, but I should rather embrace them and move on, and not freak out like I always do. In the design industry, you kind of have to be like the taxman or the joker. You need to make things happen for yourself, and if you want power, you have to create it, or just fake it until you believe it yourself. because the moment you believe it, other people will. Nothing in design, especially in ideation, happens by chance. This field is definitely one of those scenarios where what you put in is what you get out. Where my design journey is heading, I don't know, but I'm excited and very nervous to find out.